All right, check it out. We're gonna talk about bait here and how to catch bait using a cast net. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to be able to locate the bait that we're trying to catch. For me, today, I'm looking to catch pinfish and hopefully a couple white baits would be really nice. But the pinfish are gonna be my target bait to use for redfish, which is what I'm looking for today. So in order to do that, we need a couple things. Obviously, first off is gonna be a cast net, but the second thing is gonna be our chum to bring the pinfish to us. What me and a lot of other anglers like to use is Purina Tropical Fish Food. You can get this at your local feed store. It comes in a 50-pound bag. I portion it out into gallon-sized baggies so that I have something just to throw on the boat and not bring that whole 50-gallon bag with me. Also, if you don't portion it out, I have a tendency to get a lot of flies and maggots in it because it is a crude protein-based feed and it attracts fish. So it's called Purina Tropical Fish Food. It can be found at your local feed store. There's feed stores everywhere. Just look up local feed store near me on Google, and you'll find it. Call them up, make sure they have some in stock. It's about $50 for that 50-pound bag. This is probably 2 or 3 pounds, so $2 or $3 worth. Pretty cheap investment for what you get out of it. So let me go ahead and get my chum set up, ready to go, and we'll start chumming up some fish. All right, so I got my trusty bucket, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this tropical fish food and I'm gonna dump some of it into my bucket. Now, I've already put water in my bucket. I like to just use a little mixture of the fish food and the water, and I'm gonna mix it around in there. This is still a little loose. We're gonna thicken it up till we get it to the point where we can make like little balls with it, basically. Things we can kind of throw out a little bit. Once I get it there, we're just kind of mixing it around with my hand, and we get it to the point where it can be balled up in your hand to look something like that. That's the consistency you're looking for. Now, with that being said, that's not the size we're looking for. So what we want to do is we want to use pieces that are pretty small to start with, by about maybe even a little smaller than this, but it's a good start, somewhere right around there. So what making it into a ball is going to do for us, allow it to sink down to the bottom. So in order to find bait, we're going to look for a flat that is anywhere from 2 to 4 feet, and what we're going to do is we're going to start chumming that flat. And what you want to do is, obviously we got our chum all made up in here. We're gonna go ahead and start. One of the first things that we want to do is we're looking for what direction the current and the wind is going. So we need to know what direction we're building that slick. So the first one I'm gonna throw out, I'm just gonna kind of toss it over here, toss it right out here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm watching that chum. I wanna see what direction that chum moves in. And my goal is that it moves in this direction right now because that's the wind's coming from over here. And ideally, we want this chum to be drifting away from the boat. If that chum is drifting back towards the boat, your bait's gonna be coming from behind the boat, and you can't throw a cast net over here to actually catch that fish, or to catch those fish. So boat setup is imperative when we're looking at this. So every 10 to 15 seconds or so, you're gonna make another little ball of that chum, and we're gonna go ahead and toss it out. And the idea is to be landing that ball in the center of where your cast net is gonna open. That might be 3 feet from your boat, it might be 7 feet, might be 10 feet from your boat, 15, whatever it is, but it's gotta be landing where that cast net's gonna open up, or else you're gonna struggle a lot trying to get those baits in your net. So right now I'm gonna keep doing this process. I'm gonna stick at it for about 10 to 15 minutes in hopes that we get a really nice group of bait fish over here. Once I do, I'll show you what I'm looking for when they show up, and we'll get the cast net out and show you how to throw that. All right, so I'm starting to see some of these baits show up in our chum slick here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my cast net ready. It's important to have the end of that cast net wrapped around your wrist so you don't lose it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about 5 lengths of my arms here. I'm gonna really neatly kind of coil up this line. And I'm gonna take out what's called the horn of the net, which is this part. We're gonna start by straightening it all the way out. I'm gonna lay that part of the net about 2 to 3 feet in my hand. Once again, the coils are an extremely important part of it. I'm gonna take out the rest of my net. I'm gonna let it straighten out for a second here. And then the next part that I'm gonna grab is gonna be about waist high, so right here. We're gonna lay that part right over top of this hand too. Then we're gonna grab the part nearest to us on our side, and we're gonna start fanning out our net. And the main purpose of this, to fan it out, is to make sure it's not gonna get hung up anywhere. Until we have about half of our lead line, we're gonna go ahead and separate it on the ground like that. I'm gonna reach down, grab the side closest to us. This is the part dead center of that net is gonna go right in our mouth. We're putting that main line in our mouth. One last big block of chum out there to get the baits fired up. I'm gonna take that piece of line, put that part in my mouth. Then I'm gonna take my pinky finger, I'll reach down and grab the farthest away from me. All I'm doing is wrapping my pinky finger underneath that cast net, okay? Then I'm gonna grab the rest of this net over here with these fingers. So this is what I call my load, all right? We're all loaded up. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna face the direction I'm gonna throw, and we're gonna go ahead and throw it. Around, throw, spin, release. Once we got that net out there, we want the net to sink down to the bottom. And then, because we're looking for pinfish, we're gonna kind of pop the net as we're pulling it in. And what that does is it's rubbing the net along the bottom, picking up any of those pinfish, making them swim up into our net. As we get the net close to the boat, we want to grab the horn and drop some of the weights down. We don't want to drop the weights out. We want to drop them down a little bit. It's easier to manage. Lift up, and you can see we caught probably 10 pinfish, a few really nice white baits in that. I'm going to go get these baits in the live well. All right, now depending on what you're doing for the day, that might be enough bait for you. And honestly, that's probably enough bait for what I'm doing today. But you can keep repeating that process here at the same spot 5, 6, 10 times to get enough bait. So I'm gonna do it again because I did have some really nice white baits in there. If I get a couple more of those, I'm gonna be really, really happy. So I'm gonna chum a little bit heavier this time. I'm gonna chum heavy and fast just to kind of get it all going again. And kind of what I'm doing is I'm setting myself up. So I threw one chum over here, I got another one over here and another one over there. So I'm just recreating that slick all over again. We got our cast net back. I have it loaded in my arms. Once again, we split the lead half and half. A lot of people like to throw it over their shoulder. I don't really care for that, especially because I'm not wearing my bibs right now and I don't want to get completely soaked. Pick up the center part, put that in my mouth. Pinky finger right here around that line. The last 3 fingers are going to grab the rest of this net up there. Now we're split. We're ready to roll. My chum's out there. Let's catch some more bait. So I face the chum slick, get a little swing going, out, around and up, drop it down and spin it and open it up and let her fly, baby. Whew. Net's sinking down to that 3-foot depth. We're gonna go ahead and pop it a couple times on the way in, hoping to get those pinfish out of the grass. We got a few more pinfish in that throw. We also got some fry bait, which really messes the net up. That was an unintentional catch. There's a lot of small fish in there that I really don't care to see. There's some glass minnows. But that's a fatty pinfish right there. He landed in a bucket down there, no big deal. But you can see we kind of got some Christmas tree action going here with some of the baits getting messed up in my net. So we're gonna clean that out. Now they're all over my deck. So we get to clean that up. So I'm gonna get these fish in the live well. We're gonna get this thing cleaned up and we're gonna go catch some fish.